1, 2, 3, yeah! This is Amari Purple Talk. Yes. Welcome to episode 100 of Amari Purple Talk, a podcast where I share my thoughts on the Prince musical singularity. I'm Richard Cole, Imaginationist, comic book myth builder, and the Vic Sage of Funk. Thank you once again for tuning in. Please leave your comments in the comment section below, and please download on your favorite podcast platform. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And please continue to send your questions or topic suggestions for Amari Purple Talk. And how you can do that is by clicking. We're clicking the show notes, not clinking. Clicking the link in the show notes below, either the website link for Amari Communications or by following me on Twitter at RichardCole_now. Using the hashtag Amari Purple Talk, and your topic or question might just be read in a future episode. All right, here it is. The big giant size 100th issue. We fought all the supervillains. They've come back. We're going to tackle them all in this 100th issue of an episode. I am hyped. I am excited. So let's get it started. All right, so I'm going to start with some additional thoughts to the recent release of Prince's album, Welcome to America. If you haven't had a chance to catch up on the review, please tune in to last week's episode 99, where I give my complete review of the album. I have the deluxe edition, so I've had a chance to listen on vinyl, CD, watch the Blu-ray. Can't recommend getting that deluxe edition, if nothing else, for the Blu-ray part of it. An amazing concert from 2011. Also, shout out to Morris Hayes, who, after that glowing review, I forgot to mention him as the co-producer of this album. And I mean, it's a phenomenal job that was done not only by Prince, but by Morris Hayes. Last week, praised all of the background singers and the musicians on that album. But like I said, I omitted Morris Hayes. My bad. Please accept my apologies, but they threw down on this one. Like I said, go get it, go stream it. Currently, as a new release, it's number 4 on Billboard's charts. A lot of people are kind of up in arms, some excited, some not excited about the numbers as far as its streaming or its place on the charts. But let's accept the fact that we know Prince has transitioned, and as far as his musical legacy, it has now joined the ranks of, say, Jimi Hendrix, Frank Zappa, such esteemed company of legends. And everything that their estates have released over the last 20, 30 years or so, it doesn't always make the Billboard charts, or it doesn't sell a gazillion copies. But as you can see, 20 years in the game, or 30 years in the game, or whenever their families gain total control of those respective estates, they're still cranking out good product. And for the most part, their fan base is happy. It's excited. Like I said, it doesn't always sell a gazillion copies. They all, reissues of Are You Experienced, Electric Ladyland don't jump to number one on the charts when they're released. Granted, sometimes, what was that? The recent reissue of Sgt. Pepper back in 2017. Yeah, that made top 10. But you look at something like Abbey Road, that has been a consistent seller since 1969. And whether you remix it, remaster it, it's always been a consistent album seller. Purple Rain is the same thing. But for something like this, number 4, for an unreleased album that really wasn't legendary, it wasn't a Dream Factory, wasn't Camille, this is an amazing feat. This is something to get excited about. The streaming numbers, it's been a week, 5.9 million streams. Eventually we'll get it there to the, double digits in the millions. Hopefully we can get 1 billion streams off of it, but it'll come in time. And for, like I said, something that hardly any of us knew either existed, or a lot of the tracks we've never heard before, to get this type of attention. This is amazing. It's something to celebrate, something to get excited about. To me, this is the best move by the estate and by Sony, because it gave Sony a chance to really flex its muscles with this release, the way that it's been packaged, the fact that they took a risk on something so obscure. Again, we got that divide in the fan base where, there's too much focus on 80s material. Well, guess what? Now there's not a focus on 80s material, and it's amazing and it's fantastic. And yet people still got something to say about that too. But to me, this was Sony taking a swing for the fences, taking a risk, and by God, it paid off. It definitely paid off. And to do something with a later era project instead of playing it safe, because they could have dropped that Around the World in a Day Super Deluxe. Yeah, I on several episodes was excited for that possibility. There were rumors talking about a Diamonds and Pearls release for this year. I don't see it coming. It may still be possible, but I personally don't see it coming out this year if it's still something that's going on. But they could, again, that's playing it safe. Even with that album. So to do something with something that, again, that was going to surprise us all, or something that we weren't talking about on social media, or the Prince.orgs or the Housequake.coms, or, not even, let's see, well, Prince didn't have a website around 2011. So still, Facebook, whatever. We weren't looking for this album, but this was a great risk. And again, to me, it's paying off and it works. And that's the sort of the genius of Sony legacy. When, if you look at a lot of the Bob Dylan reissues, there's a lot of Bob Dylan material that's later era. Maybe things that, like his Christian period, that divided the fan base. There's been box sets related to that material in like the late 70s, early 80s. And the fans go out and they buy it, and then next thing you know, they drop something from his classic period, or maybe a more popular later period like 1975, Blood on the Track stuff. And, of course, I'm sure they have their opinions and their arguments and debates, but at the end of the day, they go and support it. And again, even Bob's stuff, that legacy stuff, Again, it's not topping the charts. If he puts out a new album, yeah, that definitely goes to the top 10, but he's still around to do that. But, this legacy stuff, that's mainly for us, and it's mainly for the serious record collector. So fan base, serious record collector, trust me, we're all going to show up for it, support it, and they're going to keep giving it to us. Just because, even if this album went lead, it we'll get more stuff, and I'm going to talk about that in a little while too. But yeah, this was definitely an impressive feat by the estate and by Sony Legacy with this one. So kudos to that. So with that being said, go support this album, or at least listen to it, give it another chance. Yeah, it's not heavy, deep, super funk dance floor, but the main thing, or the important thing in this, is the lyrics. And there are a lot of people in the fan base. I've had one person on Facebook that was very honest. Like, hey, I'm just not into political music, period. Because I thought he was putting down the record. But, and I brought up things like, Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, Sly and the Family Stones, There's a Riot Going On, anything by Curtis Mayfield, Bob Dylan, John Lennon, and he was honest. It's like, hey, it doesn't matter who it was. I'm not into political music. So that's fine. Music is subjective. And as far as the reasons why it didn't come out, come on. We talking about a dude that is so prolific. And sometimes the decisions creatively that he made were a little bit left field when something that's in the vault should have come out. And yeah, something like this album, yeah, it could have been released in 2011, but I don't think it's because the material is substandard. So again, just give it another chance, give it a listen if you're on the fence. But if nothing else, listen to the lyrics, because I think what it is that everything that we've been going through, pandemic, race riots, attacks on every culture, indigenous, Asian, black, everybody, everything has just been coming into play. Crime is up and all this other stuff that's going on. People just confused and crazy right now. Just listen to the lyrics. And because of the kind of mellow, yeah, it's designed to put you in a peaceful mood. There's some funk on it, but designed not to get us so hyped that we're hyped to tear up something or tear down something or tear somebody down. This is one of these albums you sit, you kick back, and you chill and you reflect. Just like Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. You sit back, you relax, and you just meditate on what's being said. And hopefully it gives you a little bit of peace, a little bit of clarity to make adjustments in your own life. Or how is all this stuff affecting you? Or what can you do not to let this stuff affect you? So that's going to be it for my take, or final take, on the Welcome to America album. Again, always let me know your thoughts, your comments on the album, and just like I say, give it a chance. All right, so with that topic out of the way, I'm going to talk about now the primary wave acquisition. As I was putting together last week's episode, during that week news that Omar Baker, one of Prince's siblings, was another family member that sold their interest in the Prince estate to this company, Primary Wave. They are a publishing house. They're a branding, marketing firm, their talent management. They have a lot of legendary people on their roster. They manage the Isley Brothers now. Found out recently that they are managing Jam and Lewis as far as being artists. I don't have any official word that they have done a licensing deal as far as their music publishing goes. But I think as far as them being artists and doing this Jam and Lewis Volume 1 and hopefully Volume 2, 3, 4, that this is a talent management for them as artists. So, again, Omar Baker was the latest relative, following in the footsteps of the late Alfred Jackson, who sold his shares of the Prince estate shortly before his passing, I believe. And Tyka Nelson, who was the first, but she's kept a very low percentage stake in the estate. So she still has a voice, but the majority of her shares are with Primary Wave. And I don't know, like I said, they publish a lot of, they've acquired publishing on a lot of artists. One of the disappointments for me was finding out that Smokey Robinson sold his publishing to them, or licensed it. I'm not sure again of the actual deal, but it was for $25 million. And to me, Smokey Robinson is probably, even Bob Dylan will tell you. There's a clip of him saying, "Hey, Smokey Robinson is my favorite poet." This is one of the single most important songwriters of all time. And when you see a lot of these other legends, I think Bruce Springsteen comes to mind. Definitely Bob Dylan sold a lot, his publishing cashed in for $400 million. And the reasoning is that, yeah, even if these people have total ownership to do the licensing and marketing, to deal with people wanting to use your song in a commercial or a movie or a TV show, or to cover your song, the financial logistics, or, having good representation, granted, most artists just really want to sit back and be artists. But at the same time, they still got to deal with the business. And some, like Prince, was very much about his business, total control, ownership. I doubt if he was if he was still around now, I doubt that there would be any marketing or I would say it like this: if Prince did anything like that, to me, the best example is Yoko Ono, who, when I first did the episode on Tyka Nelson selling her shares to this Primary Wave, and I did the initial research, she was one of the clients, at least on behalf of the John Lennon estate. Like I said, they're also branding, so it was publishing and a branding deal that she had. But I don't see her or John Lennon's name on that list any longer. But knowing Yoko Ono's track record, she'll do these big licensing deals, to cash in, but they're always going to be temporary, where it's like, okay, for this period of time, okay, you're going to help John Lennon make this money. And after so many years, I get my control back. So I could see Prince doing that type of a thing, where it's going to be very finite. He's going to get his paper, and whatever happens during the length of that contract is what's going to happen. Hence the deal with Warner Brothers, and why that became such a thing, with the estate when they first tried to get the licensing deal first with Universal, and then Warner Brothers stepped in and said, no, We did a deal with Prince. It's right here. It's in writing, and it's valid to 2021, folks. And so, hence, the deal with Sony, and now here's where everything stands now. But like I said, if Prince was around now, I don't see him doing a permanent deal or cashing in for 500 million and it's just gone forever. Speculation is that because he had no heirs of his own, meaning no children, that maybe if that was a final reality in his mind, then it was just like, screw it. I'm not going to do a will. There's nobody I can see I can leave this to. It's just going to be up in the air. Hence all those interviews where he's like, yeah, stuff in the vault, it's going to come out. I won't be the one putting it out, but somebody's going to put it out to kind of put the rest of the naysayers, Prince went the money did out, but it's on record. He knew it was going to come out, but he wasn't going to be the one doing it. End of discussion. So this primary wave acquisition, so now it's like 42% to 49% roughly, somewhere in that range, that they have control in the Prince estate. So I kind of put together a few points on why that's a good idea and why it's not a good idea. So I'm going to start with the pros. So, this is the part where it's like school's in, teacher got a guitar. So we're going to break down the pros and cons of this primary wave having a stake, or such a huge stake, in the Prince estate. So, pro number one, lends diverse industry experience to the decision making beyond just albums and deluxe editions. Now remember, primary wave, part of the service that they provide, a lot of these legendary artists and some unknown artists as well. This is the 21st century. Harking back to Welcome to America and the numbers that it's doing on Billboard. This isn't the old days. This isn't the days of even Thriller. This isn't even the days of 2001, 2002, 2003, 4, 5, 6. The way music is sold and consumed, it's a totally different thing. First of all, you're dealing with vinyl, which is outselling physical media CDs right now. But not everybody has access to vinyl. When, we look at a lot of people in the Prince musical singularity, you hear a lot of us celebrating the vinyl, how good it sounds, how great it sounds on vinyl. There's a lot of people that don't have the vinyl. They don't have a turntable or anything like that to play it on. So they're out the pool. So there's only so many copies of the vinyl that's moving. Physical media CDs, the industry, to me as a whole, is phasing it out. But because Prince is one of those legacy artists, yeah, we're always going to get box sets and deluxe editions where CD is going to be that part of that medium. There'll be vinyl, there'll be CD, as well as streaming. But right now, streaming is the dominant. And the record industries are really trying to shift that focus to digital. I mean, yeah, vinyl because they're making good money off of vinyl right now. But CDs, they are trying to phase out. And then again, there's a lot of us out there that's trying to keep CDs relevant. But digital, like I said, the very sad case of the Jacksons. They've reissued all of their albums on Epic Records, but only digital except for the Jacksons Live, which was remastered for vinyl. And you can check out my videos on YouTube discussing that album as well as the first 3 reissues of that. But the Jacksons and their fans deserve much better. They just threw it just digital only. No physical CDs, not even vinyl. Now for the Destiny album or for Triumph. How could you not reissue or remaster those for vinyl, if nothing else? Granted, there's a 2009 remaster of those albums on CD, which I have. And they sound fantastic. But to not even reissue those on vinyl, come on. You know, we Prince fans, we are damn lucky and sometimes often damn spoiled, because it could be worse. We could be Jackson's fans right now. But this whole thing with IP, which is intellectual property, branding, which means, you know, t-shirts and coffee mugs and clocks and bed sheets and shower curtains and pillowcases and tennis shoes, you know, commercials, this whole thing. This is now the state of the entertainment industry as a whole. It's not like how it was with our parents and grandparents, the way they came up with radio and television. You know, even those of us that are part of the MTV generation, it's not even like that anymore. So you have to have a company that is right there in tune with what's happening right now as of August 9th, 2021 to represent, or doesn't matter who you are, it goes down, you know, you out the pool, as Prince would say. So that's one of the pros, is that they have diverse industry experience to do the decision making beyond just albums and deluxe editions, and to do the IP and branding stuff. Pro number 2, they can better communicate ideas to help Comerica Bank make better economical and profitable decisions. Because one of the complaints on the behalf of the family members that did not sell their shares and are fighting tooth and nail to maintain control and also get paid the money that's due to them, their complaint is that they have these people at Comerica Bank. These are bankers. Okay? That's fine, you know, when they're keeping your money and how to help you generate more interest when you got money in the bank. And I'm sure they have attorneys, but they're not entertainment industry attorneys even. You know, so at least those heirs, they do have Londell McMillan. And I'm not going to pass judgment on his character. I mean, hey, he did help Prince get free of his Warner Brothers contract when he was Prince's attorney at the time. You know, yeah, forget about whatever side deals, whatever. Yeah, that was looking a little suspect, but we're not going to judge that or anything, at least not on this show. But he is their representation, and at least he has music industry experience to speak on their behalf. But since the other heirs didn't have that type of representation, and that they elected to sell their shares to this company, Primary Wave, then you do have a qualified executive team in place. You have entertainment industry lawyers into the mix at this point, and they can better communicate with the people at Comerica Bank, whether it's attorneys or whatever appointed executives for the bank. This has nothing to do with Michael Howe. It doesn't have anything to do with Troy Carter at all. To me, they are really great people at representing at facilitating what needs to be done with the estate as far as maintaining the vault is concerned. But again, whoever is making these ultimate decisions, it's been a complaint of those heirs that are fighting for control to, that they're making these decisions and they're not making sense. it's not, or it's probably not making the money it should be making. So yes, while we are getting, we have a Sign of the Times Super Deluxe set, I guess something should have been handled to where there should have been more. Or maybe the ideas with the 1999 Super Deluxe. Maybe starting with the Purple Rain Super Deluxe and how much of a travesty that was. Yeah, they've gotten better with 1999. They really knocked it out of the park with Sign of the Times. They've knocked it out with this Welcome to America set. Originals was the first step in the right direction. But there should be more. There should be more consistency, more of a plan in place with that. And I think as a pro, you have this company to better explain that or better communicate that, so you can get more diverse items like books and films, music, merchandising. That stuff can be better communicated by a company like that. The third and final pro is that you have an industry player that's able to allow the estate to compete with the demands of today's entertainment industry. And that's something I talked about with the first point, is that how we think of, or what, a lot of us that have grown up in that era have been, grown up to understand about the music industry versus, maybe some of the newbies or some of the younger crowd that, you're looking through Google or you're reading the books and you see, oh, Purple Rain sold 25 million, or something like Michael Jackson. Thriller sold 48 million and all this. And it's like, wow. And you just kind of been programmed to think that, hey, this is what's supposed to happen each and every time. But no, things were different. Radio was different. There was no Sirius XM. Radio stations, for the most part, were independent, which meant that your local DJ, 9 times out of 10, lived in the same community as you, was in touch with that community, and better understood your programming needs. And not only did he he or she have the ear of the people to say, hey, this record's hot. This is what's happening. Oh, I love this record. Or you trusted the DJ to listen to the album and was like, you know what? Yeah, that single is cool, but hey, let me flip this over. Oh, this song sounds better. And that's the song that ended up becoming the legendary hit. Or something on the album, even though it never made it as a single, got so much radio play that it was just as big of a hit as the actual hits. So when you went to that concert and they played that album track, you were in it. You were involved in it. Those days are over. Those days are long over. And the music industry, when rock and roll first started, their first attempt at stamping it out, they drafted Elvis into the army. They put Chuck Berry in jail for driving a white woman across the state. Little Richard went to Christianity. Buddy Holly died in a plane crash. So they first tried to stamp out or gain control by coming up with these manufactured cats like Fabian and Frankie Avalon and cats like that. But you also had Lieber and Stroller that was bringing in the coasters and bringing in the drifters. And you had Carole King and Jerry Goffin that was bringing in the Shirelles. And Phil Spector was bringing in whoever he brought in, the Ronettes or whoever, and kind of kept the legitimacy of the music going. So they couldn't stamp that out. Then here come the Beatles. Here comes Motown. You couldn't stamp that out because that was, Motown was independently controlled. Beatles, the Stones, they were from across the water. So they couldn't be as controlled over here with their music. But the 70s, starting with disco, and not that disco was bad because that was some funky music, but the industry tried to get that lock on it when you started, having people like Ethel Merman come out with a disco record, and Star Wars with a disco record, Disco Duck, things like that. Then by the 80s, corporate takeover started to happen. And that's when you started to get on your radio the same 10 damn songs, the same 15 damn songs that you could care less about, but because they kept playing it over and over, you were brainwashed that, well, maybe that is a hit. All right, yeah, okay, maybe I can dance to this. No, that record still sucks. I'm sorry. It still is, but it's like, and the talent and the musicianship has all been drained out of it now. But we have these communities and we have vinyl, and let's not underestimate these youngsters. Let's not, let's stop putting them down, because you got to remember one thing. It was the youngsters that brought vinyl back, because they were sick of hearing this mess on the radio and started filtering through their parents' record collections like, who is this Led Zeppelin? Who is this? Like, damn, this is good. Who are these Beatles? Who is this Stevie Wonder? This is good. So remember that, we were barely keeping it alive. I'd given up vinyl, but these kids have brought it back. So it's not the same industry anymore. And you definitely need a team or an executive team at a company that understands the current climate of this. And those are the three pros of having a primary wave involved with their sort of 49%, whatever the number is. So I don't think that they have 100% control, but I'm going to get into this facing the cons. So the downside to all of this forces Prince's legacy to fit modern branding ideals that can be contrary to or against his overall world view. Because we know the man sacrificed his entire career. Back when he changed his name and people were like, what the hell? He's gone crazy. He's lost his mind. Didn't understand what was happening. The power play that was involved in it. But it was, as we know now, it was to be able to create the type of music he wanted to create, not what the industry trends were trying to dictate. Like, oh, Prince, well, you need to do that hip hop record. Oh, well, no, this sounds great. Can we get Puffy to do the remix? Yeah, can we do that? Look at all of the things that he's turned down. Massive concerts on HBO. A lot of the stuff that's in the vault. One of the rumors about this album, Welcome to America, it's not that it's a bad album. Again, it's a great album to listen to. But one of the things was that he couldn't get the type of money he wanted to put out. And it was like, well, I'm off to the next album anyway. And that's how he thinks. It's not because the material was substandard. It's just, how he thinks. It's like he finished that one. He's moved on to the next one. So since the deal couldn't come together for that to come out, then it stayed in the vault. But, that album was needed for 2021. But I mean, what else did he turn down? Video games, Guitar Hero stuff that he's turned down because the money wasn't right, or who was going to control what? It's like, okay, I'm lending you my image, but does that mean you're going to control my image? You controlling my avatar now? What does that mean? Yeah, great. Let's Go Crazy is going to be on Guitar Hero. What does that mean? You're going to mix it with something else? You're going to mix it with a Kiss track or something like that? And it's like, no. The man was about his control, and that was his worldview. So even though we've argued this isn't what he wanted and all this, all of that is irrelevant at this point. And I think even where he is, and I think he even understood, hence the fact that, yeah, this vault music will come out. I won't be the one putting it out, but it will come out. I think even where he's transitioned to, I think that it's not a concern. Earthly concerns no longer matter, if you're in a more peaceful plane of existence. But as far as, what would make us fans cringe, knowing what he fought for, it goes beyond what's in the vault. at this point. It's the thing of, this song. Let's see. Let's take. One of the things I hated at first, I'm gonna still hate it, but one of the things I didn't like was "Let's Go Crazy" being used in that credit card commercial. I forget which credit card it was, but the lyrics to that song have absolutely nothing to do with your credit card spending lifestyle. Nothing. It has nothing to do with that. In fact, it's about the de-elevation of sin. Don't let the elevator bring you down. World debt brings you down faster than anything. So it's contradictory with that. So yeah, to see it sell Fruit Loops, to see Purple Rain sell, Lucky Charms or something. No, I don't want to see that. Or, Mattress Firm or something, Insatiable being used for Mattress Firm. Now, please, estate, do not take these ideas and use it, because it's like, I don't want the hate mail, because Richard, it was your fault. You recommended Insatiable for Mattress Firm, and now guess what? Look what happened. So don't write that down. I got some other ideas you can write down. That's coming up in a few. So yeah, so having the legacy fit to modern branding ideals, yeah, it can be contrary and against his overall worldview. That would be one of the cons, one of the downsides to this deal with Primary Wave. The second downside is that having such a huge stake in the shares can lead to division with other family members that can delay an in-demand project, or the veto power on either side can prevent projects from release or even affect the quality of the product. And with that, there have been many examples, especially with family members infighting, that has prevented the fan base from getting a consistent wealth of material. I won't mention Hendrix estate. That has been pretty consistent, even though there was a brother of Hendrix's that sued the sister and the father because he felt he was entitled to, some of the paper involved with Jimi Hendrix. But that didn't stop or slow down anything that they were doing. The examples I have would be Frank Zappa's family. They were in dispute for a number of years. Those disputes, it didn't delay a lot of releases, but it did delay the release of this documentary that had just been released called Zappa, which is really good. Check that out. The beginning of that is amazing because you see Frank Zappa's vault and it automatically just puts you in mind of Prince's vault. Like, damn, look at that. Look at what we can get. And there's a soundtrack that's part of that. But a lot of Frank Zappa releases have been more consistent since the dust has settled. There's also James Brown, their family. They had a lot of infighting, but that has now been settled. And yeah, they're going to clear out all the bad publishing deals. And we've kind of sporadically seen some James Brown product. The last one I got was the Live at Home with his Bash self from 1969. That was in the vault. That had just been released on vinyl and CD about a year and a half ago. And but I think we're going to get some more better reissues and better compilations. Then it's been kind of quiet on the James Brown front for quite a while. So now that the dust is settled, Tom Petty is another one where the family had been beefing about stuff, but once they patched it up, then there was album that the fans have been wanting for the longest. I think it's either reissue or a deluxe edition of it or something. But that had finally been released for their fan base, finally. Bob Marley, that's another one. I think their family still fights over stuff from time to time. But, there's still quality Bob Marley product that's still out there, that's still available. But the fear with this, and really when we're just getting to a point of getting some really quality releases, again, Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, even this Welcome to America Deluxe Edition, 1999 Super Deluxe, just as it's starting to get good, something like this has the potential to dovetail, because they may have an idea. Primary Wave may have an idea. And, it could be, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and put out that Parade Super Deluxe. And the other family members are like, well, no, we don't want to do that right now. We want to really focus on, getting the most beautiful girl in the world back, the rights to that. And so we can put out the Gold Experience Super Deluxe. And because there'll be nothing offered as a compromise, then it'll be 20, 30 years before we see a Parade Super Deluxe, or before we see a Gold Experience Super Deluxe, or something like that. Or a documentary. We got the Netflix. I don't think that's kind of before they took over. And I don't see them vetoing that, because that's something that can work, and especially in the face of the Zappa documentary. Now, the beauty of that was that the family owned that film outright. So you can have Amazon distribute it. I paid for my digital copy. So the proceeds from the DVD, it's been released in theaters, what theaters that had been open or were open during this pandemic. So it's had a theatrical release. So they're more in control of that situation, where this Prince documentary we're only going to see on Netflix, unless they come out with a Blu-ray set of it, which would be cool too. But, because those contracts were in place already, and because it's Netflix, I don't see Primary Wave vetoing something like that. But anything that's done from this point forward, I'm going to follow this very closely and see, how is this going to affect, what we want next? Could it stop a Around the World in a Day Super Deluxe? Will they be so biased for the 80s material that we won't get the beauty of, say, Prince's last project, or a piano and a microphone release, or a reissue of Artificial Age, or something similar with a musicology Super Deluxe Edition with a DVD Blu-ray of one of the concerts of that? Will those things be affected? Or it can go the other way as well. The state might have the better idea, and Primary Wave wants to do this and do that, and they veto the family member's better idea because they just want to do this commercially viable thing, that's so mainstream that it's like, great. I guess it gets Prince's music out there, the people that wouldn't normally listen to it. But just think of the possibility of, what's that movie that never came out, or they were going to use Prince's music. It's like, I'll do anything, or I'll say anything. That film, we'll get something like that, and we'll be like, oh boy. So that's it. Those are the possible cons. So what do you think? Do you think that having Primary Wave now involved is a good idea, and what ways do you think it would be beneficial, or what ways do you think it would be detrimental to the Prince estate going forward? Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And going to wrap up this episode, the 100th episode. Wow. So going to wrap this up with some quick what's next. And I don't know, usually by the end of the year, I do kind of what's next, like what could the estate possibly come up with next year? And it's usually kind of based on a lot of different things that I just kind of, whether I listen to the fan base, whether certain announcements come out, or, there's another interview with Michael Howe, kind of reading in between the lines, like, could they come out with this next or that next? But these are going to be some kind of personal wish list items just for me. And this would be an entire 2-hour show by itself. So like I said, I just named a few and just going to quickly run through them. And the first thing I would like to see, maybe not necessarily right away, but this is something I feel the estate should focus on. So now, estate, you can get your pens and pencils out and take some notes, and do that. So first, want to see the original catalog reissued on CD and vinyl. A lot of my original vinyl has taken a beating, and managed to replace a few items. I tried to replace it with some of the 2015 reissues. I only got as far as Purple Rain, Parade, and Sign of the Times. Because basically, Prince was a champion of vinyl. He felt his material, especially for that period, worked a lot better on vinyl. And that was one of the first things that he did authorize when he got his masters back. So, because now Sony, as far as the United States, is in charge of the distribution, then it is time for Prince's catalog from 78 to 92. And that could be a possible phase one. Or you could do 78 to 88 as a phase one, and then everything from 89 to 92, 93, 94, 95, all the way up to the end of his Warner Brothers period. That could be like a phase two. And just the original vinyl, no super deluxe editions, just the original vinyl, some really great liner notes. Great liner note booklet for the CD also, but just the original vinyl. And I would also like to see a 40th anniversary reissue of the 1999 Super Deluxe Edition, which I think is going to be a possibility, because if you noticed, either if you go on the Prince estate, those collections are sold out. And if you can order it, say like on Amazon or anywhere else, remember the price was already pretty steep to begin with, but it's gotten worse because I think that now the Warner Brothers distribution has ended for the United States, that you can't restock those albums anymore. What's in circulation at this point are either unsealed copies that have been sitting around somebody's record store and they've jacked the price up a little bit, or it's in the hands of an individual that's selling it and jacking the price up a little bit. So I think, again, with now Sony, it's now 2021, they have official license to the entire Prince catalog from beginning to end, that we'll get a reissue of it, hopefully kind of a repackaging of it to kind of get it to compete or not compete, but to look good on the shelf with the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, as well as the Welcome to America box set and the other vinyl things that have been released by the estate so far. But also, the What Time Is It album and the Vanity 6, I'd like to see both of those get expanded editions. What Time Is It? It'll probably be similar to the debut album reissue. It'll be like the original album remastered plus the singles, to which that one, yeah, it'll be like shorter versions of what's been released. And then you have like Grace, that B-side. You have that available for the first time in a long time. Now, if they have Morris Day more involved with this round of it, hopefully we might get some unreleased tracks, some vault tracks. Maybe we'll get that live CD as the bonus disc, or the live album as the bonus disc. But to me, as excited as I would be for the Time getting that reissued, I'm more excited about the Vanity 6 if they should do that. That would be more exciting to me because the remixes were very interesting. You know, they got a chance to have remixes and stuff where the Time didn't get that luxury with the What Time Is It album. So, but to have that triple threat, you know, and they don't necessarily have to reissue the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, but since it would be the 40th anniversary, yeah, that's going to be back in, that should be back in circulation. But to also have those two albums, What Time Is It and Vanity 6, released during the year, the same year, would be amazing. So that's what I'm wishing for. The next thing is either a 40th anniversary Super Deluxe edition of Purple Rain, much better than the last one. Or, if they don't do that, reissue of the original album as part of a year-long Purple Rain anniversary, which means you would just get just the album reissued. Also, Ice Cream Castles and Apollonia 6, along with, say, expanded edition reissues of those albums. Also, the First Avenue, the August 3rd, 1983 benefit show, release that as a standalone for that year, and then save the Super Deluxe or the much improved Purple Rain Super Deluxe as part of a Purple Rain 50th anniversary. That's right, which means we got to eat our vegetables, take our vitamin D, take our vitamin C, you know, do what you got to do, keep your immune system boosted so we can be around for that 50th anniversary of Purple Rain. And then the last thing would be, of course, the Netflix documentary. And not only do I want to see the Netflix documentary, I'm hoping it's like multiple episodes, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes long. Each one about hour and a half, 2 hours. Or you do 3 2-hour segments, but I want to see like a 8-part series of it. But not only that, but give me a 3 vinyl LP or 3 CD career spanning soundtrack. Or go big. Go big. You know, the Beatles anthology, the DVD is like about 8 parts, I think. And then they also had the CD, and that was like 3 releases, 2 CDs each. So a total of 6 CDs on the Beatles anthology. So go big. Do that with the Netflix documentary. Have it be multi-parts and just drop 3 2-disc album soundtracks throughout the year of it. And like I said, covered the whole career. The first set or first CD, you go 78 to 80 whatever, and then the second one you're dealing with the 90s, and then the next one you're dealing with the 2000s. Just go big. So those are the things that I would want to see. Those are things are mainly on my wish list. And again, as we get into season 3, as we get into 2022, as more things, big, breaking news announcements, it'll inspire us for more. But what are you guys looking forward to? What would you like to see the estate release? Whether it's 2022, 23, 24, 40th anniversary, 50th anniversaries, and beyond. Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And that is going to end this 100th episode of Amari Purple Talk. Thank you all for sharing your time by listening to this episode. I was going to do some shout outs, but that would be another 2-hour show also as far as shout outs. But again, to let you know, this is the last Amari Purple Talk for, I would say we're in August, so month and a half. I'm going to come back in late September, probably more than likely the last week in September. I'm going to work on making this show better. So changing a lot of things around for that. There's a couple of projects that I need to get finished that's unrelated to Amari Purple Talk, but essential to Amari Communications. Like I say, just a lot of other personal changes as far as work-life balance. It's been non-existent for far too long. And, as time goes by and as this pandemic has, exposed a lot of things in a lot of areas, I think having to be a part of the Prince musical singularity, we've had the beautiful ones come out during all of this. We've had some amazing albums that we were able to discuss on Twitter threads, and a lot of Prince related people that are still with us, that we've got to engage with, whether, it's through the Twitter threads or symposiums and talk shows, other podcasters. Life is precious and life is important. And, you don't necessarily have to accept, especially if things are negative, you don't necessarily have to accept these things. But, if you're going to stand up or either stand up to adversity, overcome adversity, or even sidestep adversity, you got to make that change within yourself. And if it's a thing of you can't change the things around you, you change the things around you. And yeah, it's like freedom, ownership, the definition of funk. If that was what Prince was trying to tell us, or what he was going to try to explain to us in the beautiful ones, had he been able to finish it, then our responsibility is to live your best life. Create your life. Create your day, then create your life. And, like I said, we got to make this a lot better. We got to leave this planet a lot better than how we found it. And, it's a little crazy. It's a little confusing. But we've got each other. We've got the Prince musical singularity. We got good Prince music. We got good music in general. There's couple of impulse buys. I had to replace a couple of Funkadelic CDs that had been long absent from my collection for a while. There's that. I had gotten a pretty good deal on Jesse Johnson's Bare My Naked Soul CD, so I'm anxious to get that finally. I mean, he needs to reissue that both on CD and vinyl, but it's about just taking time, and having that work-life balance. I thank my wife for her patience, when I do this show, because a lot of work goes into putting this together. Like I said, the essentially non-essential essential gig, that, like I said, for too long, that has, stifled a lot of work-life balance stuff. But, we're about to fix all that, change all that, and bring you a bigger, better season 3 of Amari Purple Talk. And hopefully you dig some other stuff as well. Some different new merchandise, the whole bit. So hopefully you dig that, support that. That helps keep this show going. That helps keep some of these projects in circulation. And I got to get them finished to get them into circulation. But we getting ready to go to the next level on this one, folks. So till then, create your day, create your life. Keep it purple. Keep it on the one. And the future of Richard Cole and Amari Purple Talk, well, the future of Richard Cole and Amari Purple Talk is going to have a lot of... This is not the last call. We didn't come here too far long. We've only come to funk and keep it on the run. To the last beat, to the last bass, to the last band with funk. To the last beat, to the last bass, to the last band with funk. To the last beat, to the last bass, to the last band with funk. To the last beat, to the last bass, to the last band with funk. We come to take a stand. Just listen to the band. You're giving up the funk, and it's alright tonight.